Last week, we talked to Marie Arnold about her book, The Year I Flew Away. But we have a few more questions about the book, Marie. I mean, not many people put a talking rat into an immigration story. Tell us about Rocky.
He's in theater. He loves musical theater. He's a showman. He came to me with a top hat. So I already knew that he's the kind of guy who needs light shined on him. So he loves Gabrielle and that's like his best friend, and he wants her to win and help her. But he also wants to shine. So he kind of goes off track. And I think Gabrielle and we both know that he doesn't mean anything by it. It's just a lovable part of who he is. But he has a very big sense of self. So that's why he takes over.
Well, why did Rocky end up in The Year I Flew Away? I mean, in other words, why in this particular book?
She needed a friend because, she is going out at midnight in the middle of a park. Like, she needed a friend. But I didn't want her to have anybody human in that way because we already have her best friend at school. So, again, I love animals on paper. So I thought Rocky would be great. Originally, it was going to be like a squirrel or something, but then I realized it's New York. Come on. It's either going to be a pigeon or a rat. So, and then you have Rocky.
You write in a variety of genre. How do you decide what to write and how?
I do middle grade romance and young adult. So my indie stuff is generally romance and young adult, and my traditional stuff is middle grade. And I have a whole new respect for middle grade after trying it, because I was like, oh, I could just, it's you got to put some work into it. So I basically let the character lead me, which sounds so, flighty. But I only go the direction that they're going in. Otherwise, it won't work. Like, I can say, hey, you're 17. But if she comes to me in the body of a 9-year-old, my story is now about a 9-year-old.
Well, what's the difference writing middle grade versus young adult?
Oh, wow. Aside from the obvious rules, with middle grade, you have to get into their psychology. How kids think at that age, and how every little thing is wondrous, and they all want to find out, and there's no global perception for kids. It's more like my block is my universe. So we had to kind of condense things to make it so that, like, for example, if there's a dog who scares you on your block, that is your major global crisis. It's the dog on the block that scares you. So I had to kind of change my thinking. Whereas with young adults, they could kind of think outside of their neighborhood and that kind of perspective. Although what they have in common is that for both teenagers and middle grade, they all think that whatever's happening is the worst thing. It's the worst thing or the best thing. There is no middle ground. So that's what they have in common. But as far as how they differ, it's just perspective, because young adult has a wider lens, whereas, kids are just, my block and my friends.
Does it take longer to write romance than middle grade?
For romance, it depends. If I'm doing romance, to be perfectly honest, like if I'm doing romance with Caucasian main characters, I can write it in like 5 minutes. Like, it's just pretty white people who adore each other, and then you give them a little backstory. You kind of, you give them you root them in a loss, a grief, or something to ground it, so it's not just cheesy. But if I'm doing, and then you make them fall in love, which is a series of little moments. That's really what it is. If I'm writing romance for people of color, for Black folks, I have to take other things into consideration. Like, I couldn't have a Black character just pull over on the side of the road in the South and propose in the middle of the night. Like, nobody's doing that. So it really depends. But if I'm doing Caucasian characters, the only rule is that they have to be pretty and they have to find soft moments to fall in love. If it's Black characters, they have to find soft moments to fall in love, and they have to do it while while balancing what it means to be Black in this country.
Now, you have a secret weapon of sorts that you use as a writer, a talisman, I guess you could say. What is Hold On, Nancy?
There's a little magnet above the book. It's actually hanging on my refrigerator, and it's a magnet of a white figure with a ponytail, and she's holding on. She's literally, her palms are latching on to the refrigerator. And her name is Hold On Nancy. And she's been in my fridge for 8 years, same number of years I had my house. And she teaches me to hold on. So when I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to finish this book, or I'm never going to finish this project, I walk by and Hold On Nancy's like, I'm still here. You'll be here too. Hold on. So we hold on together, you know. So that's Hold On Nancy.
Thanks, Marie. We have interviews with dozens of other writers at our website, bookclubforkids.org, on our Writers on Writing page. I'm Kitty Felde. Thanks so much for listening.